What is going on, Thrones fans? Today's video we will be discussing the endgame of Game of Thrones and why so many theories about the endgame or the so-called bittersweet ending include and are, for the most part, heavily reliant on the Stark's ancestral home of WinterFell, and WinterFell playing a major role in the conclusion of our story in both A Song of Ice and Fire, the novels, and HBO's Game of Thrones. Now, almost all theories that surround Winterfell usually focus less on what's in plain sight, meaning the above-ground structure of Winterfell, a huge castle complex spanning several acres and protected by two massive walls, and more to do with what lies below the stronghold. Because so many of these theories focus on the actual geology of Winterfell, we will be bringing in an actual geophysicist as a special guest on tomorrow evening's In the Mix stream to continue what we start today, but more on that later. So what do I mean when I say focusing on what's below Winterfell? Well, it's not the gigantic walls that they usually focus on for Winterfell's main defense, but what's beneath them, such as the crypts, but more importantly, the hot springs that play a pivotal role in the main theory I'll be highlighting in this video. Now, that theory being one that's been around for a while, but now I believe it's becoming more and more likely to actually be true as we see the story play out, and that theory is that Lightbringer is not a literal sword, but Winterfell itself is Lightbringer. So I'm going to break down and highlight some of the most important aspects of the legend for Lightbringer and Azor Ahai for those of you that might not be familiar with it. So Azor Ahai is said to be a legendary hero who wielded a burning sword called Lightbringer. According to the prophecy from the ancient books of Ashai from over 5,000 years ago, Azor Ahai is said to be reborn again as a champion sent by R'hllor. This will happen after a long summer when an evil cold darkness descends upon the world. It is said that wielding Lightbringer once again, Azor Ahai will stand against the others, and if he fails, the world will fail with him. The forging of Lightbringer is really important, and the process of forging Lightbringer is actually described through the legend I'm about to read you guys, and this process is actually pretty pivotal to the theory we'll be discussing in a moment. So the legend goes as such. Darkness lays over the world as a hero, Azor Ahai was chosen to fight against it. To fight against the darkness, Azor Ahai needed to forge a hero's sword. He labored for 30 days and 30 nights until it was done. However, when he went to temper it in water, the sword broke. He was not one to give up easily, so he started over. The second time, he took 50 days and 50 nights to make the sword, and even better than the first. To temper it, at this time, he captured a lion and drove the sword through the lion's heart. But once more, the steel shattered. The third time, with a heavy heart, for he knew beforehand what he must do to finish the blade, he worked for 100 days and nights until it was finished. This time, he called for his wife, Nisa. He then asked for her to bear her breast. He drove the sword into her living heart, her soul, combining with the steel of the sword, creating Lightbringer, the red sword of heroes. He then is said to have used Lightbringer to defeat the Great Other. Now, it is unknown if Azor Ahai is connected with the legend of the last hero, officially, who lived during the Long Night and helped defeat the others. According to the Westerosi legend, it is unknown if there's any connection with Azor Ahai, a person who saves the world from darkness, and legends from Essos. The stories of the last hero in Azor Ahai and many others, which for the sake of time I will not address, are all, in my personal opinion, the same story, but have undergone slight changes. Similar to our real-world religions and mythology that tend to vary slightly from Eastern civilization to Western. The Azor Ahai prophecy is essentially the Eastern version since it's derived and told in Essos, and the last hero was derived in the North and is popular amongst those in Westeros. Here's a quick summary for those of you not familiar with the legend of the last hero in Long Night. Legends of the North state that the last hero and his companions went in search of the Children of the Forest during the Long Night, thousands of years ago. The only survivor of the company after attacks from giants, whites, and others, the last hero eventually reached the Children of the Forest and gained their assistance. The Night's Watch was then formed, and then the last hero, along with the children, won the battle for the dawn. This ended the generation-long winter and sent the others into retreat, possibly to the land of always winter. The fate of the last hero is unknown. So why is this important? Well, we are, without a doubt, facing very similar circumstances of these stories, whether we believe them to be true or not. Doesn't matter. Darkness has come and the army of the dead have brought it, and it is looking like we are set to see a final standoff similar to, if not exactly the same as the circumstances of these various legends. So how could Winterfell be Lightbringer if Lightbringer is a sword? Well, as we've seen in both books and show, these legends and prophecies are almost always misinterpreted, leading not to only false prophets such as Stannis and many others. So not only can prophets be misinterpreted, but also items in these legends are not meant to be taken literally, but are metaphors Force. So it's very possible that Lightbringer is not a sword, but could be a person, such as Jon, or it could be even a dragon, like Drogon, or a place built by many who think is in fact the original Azor Ahai, Bran the Builder himself, who built not only the wall with the help of the Children of the Force, but Winterfell as well, in Storm's End and Hightower of Old Town, all of which have names, unlike prophecies, that we can, in my opinion, take in a very literal sense. The wall is a wall. The Hightower of Old Town is a high tower. Storm's End is the first stronghold on Shipbreaker's Bay to hold up in the harsh conditions, this being the Storm's End. And Winterfell might just be a literal place where winter fell, where the last winter, in this winter that we're seeing, will fall again. So Lightbringer now needs to be forged 3 times and break twice. The first time by water. This would be Theon Greyjoy trying to take Winterfell, being an Iron Islander. This is water. It obviously fails, and it breaks. The next we have the Boltons working as a proxy under the Lannisters, a lion, who take Winterfell and hold it for a time until Jon defeats them in the Battle of the Bastards, thus taking back Winterfell, and it breaks once more. Now the third forging, I think this leads to the bittersweet ending that George has promised, and Dany's third betrayal as well. After Dany makes it to Westeros and has now fallen in love with Jon, but during the invasion of Winterfell by the others, it's believed that Drogon will be needed, which will act as Dany's soul, and Dany will act as Nissa, and Jon must bind her soul, Drogon, to Lightbringer Winterfell in order to fight back the others. It's been suggested that a dragon lives under Winterfell. Perhaps Jon will have to travel deep below the crypts of Winterfell with Drogon and leave him there to reignite the heat source that makes Winterfell Lightbringer. This would relate to the dreams that Jon has about the crypts. Again, this is just a theory, but it's a really interesting one, and it ties us into our actual geology of Winterfell and all the mystery behind it. This is kind of the magical aspect of it and just an example of one of the many theories. We're going to be talking about Winterfell a lot in the next week or so. I'm going to be doing a few more videos on it, including a video on Bale the Bard. So make sure to join us Sunday, November 5th for our In the Mix live stream, which will cover Stranger Things Season 2, as well as predictions for The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 3, Monsters, with special guest Milt, who is an exploration geophysicist. We had him on a few weeks ago to cover the Doom of Valyria, and he has a wonderful Winterfell presentation for us tomorrow, which will dive into these hot springs of Winterfell and everything else that goes along with the mysterious castle that is Winterfell. I'm Justin Thomas. I'd like to remind you guys to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon.